Welcome back into the classroom. I am so glad to have you here with me. Dominion over finances is back in session for yet another class. That's right, it is Money May, and this is the last session of Money May. And I am excited about what we're going to discuss on today. So let's recap. Over the last 3 weeks, we've talked about money answering all, money is a witness, and money is a defense. And this week, we're going to wrap up our Money May with money is seed. Money is seed. And that's right. You and I have to change our perspective on our money. And we have to become somewhat financial farmers in understanding that our money is seed. Our money is seed. So when you look at the definition of seed, it speaks to that which lends itself to growing, right? And to producing additional fruit, or to produce additional fruit, which then can produce again. So that means that in your seed, lying within your seed, is the potential to be fruitful. It is the potential to multiply. It is the potential to give birth to other things. And to give birth, in this case, if money is the seed, then it has the potential to give birth to even more money or more financial resources. So, my friends, let's dig into money being a seed. And I believe that this is a topic that we have not really delved into as much as we should in the kingdom. And this is also the reason why, because your money is a seed, the enemy is going after your seed. The adversary, he wants to go after your seed because in it lies the potential, as I said before, to give birth, to multiply, and to be fruitful. But it is the potential that lies within that seed for you to exemplify and for you to enact financial dominion in the earth that he wants to cut off. He wants to steal, he wants to kill, and he wants to destroy your financial seed so that you cannot effect what needs to happen in the kingdom. And that is why it is important that you must understand that your money is seed. So let's delve into this topic a little bit more. I can't go to Luke chapter 8, but what I want you to do in your spare time after you listen to this, I want you to go to Luke chapter 8, and I want you to look at the parable of the sower. In this particular parable, Jesus is talking about the word of God, but there are things that we can glean. There are lessons that we can glean from this particular parable that I want to dig into on today. And there are 4 points that I want to give to you as it pertains to money being your seed, as it pertains to you being a financial farmer and a financial sower. All right. So let's dig into those 4 points. And again, I'm coming from Luke chapter 8, the parable of the sower. The first point is this. When you look in the parable of the sower in Luke chapter 8, you see a sower. You see a sower, and that's how Jesus begins that parable. But the one thing I want you to understand about the sower in this particular parable is that the sower went out to sow. He went out to sow, which means he went out with intention. And so I ask you, how many of you utilize your money as a seed, but utilize it with intention? How many of us do we go out and do we intend to sow seed such that we will then reap a harvest? So in this season, my friends, the first thing that you must understand when you are thinking about your money as seed is that you have to be the sower, but most importantly, you have to sow with intention. The only way that you can sow with intention is that you have to have vision. And I've talked about it before and I'll bring it up again, but your intention starts with vision, okay? You cannot sow with intention unless you have vision. And that vision can't simply be you want to be a millionaire, but that vision has to be what your purpose is in the earth. That vision has to be connected to whatever your kingdom mandate or assignment is in the earth. So number one, the sower must sow with intention. That's point number one. Point number two is this. When you look in the parable of the sower, you see that the sower, he encounters on his journey to getting to the good ground, he encounters 3 other types of soil. So that means that he encountered 4 soils, right? Or 4 types of soil. The good ground being the 4th and the last one that he encountered. But he came through the wayside. He came through the rocky ground. He came through the thorny ground. And then he got to the good ground. So as he journeyed through each one of those in order to get to the good ground, he lost some seed along the way. So my second point is this. The process of sowing will not always produce. There is inherent loss in your sowing. So what am I saying here? As you are sowing your financial seeds, as you learn to better steward your money, to better steward your financial resources, and as you learn what is good ground for your money as a seed, you're going to experience some loss. You will experience loss, and that is okay. Every bit of seed, the farmer does not necessarily yield from every seed that he plants in the ground. He will work to do whatever he can so that he can maximize the harvest that he gets off of the seed that has been planted, but he will experience loss. And so will you and I. But remember now, in the previous episode, I talked about how money can be a defense. So we've got to learn how to guard against those losses. We have to learn how to guard against the losses in such a way that it does not become such an impactful event that it is devastating to us. But I want you to understand, my friends, that when you are sowing financially, when you are a financial farmer, when you are making your way to that good ground, there is loss in that process. But understand, the process is teaching you how to get to the good ground. The process is teaching you how to effectively get your seed into the good ground. So don't be mad at the loss and don't be mad at the process. Point number 3 is this. Sowing on good ground produces fruit. Here's the caveat though, with patience. So many of us expect that as soon as we get that seed in the ground, that it is going to produce. But it clearly tells us in this parable of the sower that sowing on good ground produces fruit, but it produces fruit with patience. That's right. That same Greek word for patience there is the same Greek word that James used for patience in the book of James, where he talks about patience shall have her perfect work. That's right. Did you not know that you've got to also be patient with your money as a seed in the ground? You've got to be patient and you have to work that ground, and you got to make sure you're cultivating that ground. Wherever you plant your money that has been identified as the good ground, you got to work that ground with some patience, That means you got to put in some work. That means you have to endure some things. That means you've got to add some knowledge to it. That means you've got to add some time to it. I know a lot of us don't like to think about how it takes the time for that seed to then sprout up and bring up that fruit tree. But when you sow on good ground, you got to add some patience to it. So my friends, my financial farmers, those that are planting their money as seed, you got to understand when you're planting on good ground, it has to come with patience. All right. And this is my last point to wrap up this session on money as a seed, or money is seed. And this fourth point is this: seed, when planted and matured, produces fruit with more seed. So this is a very powerful point. So I'm going to repeat that again. Seed, when planted and matured, produces fruit with more seed. So there are a couple things that I want to pull out from this particular point here. You and I, as financial farmers, must understand that if we sow on good ground and we add some patience to it, we have to recognize that what comes up and what we yield from that seed planted in good ground will be fruit. So therein, we have begun to fulfill our financial dominion, just a part of it, in the earth. And that is being fruitful, and that is multiplying. The second thing that we have to understand in this fourth point is this: in that fruit that comes up from the seed that we have planted in the good ground, there's more seed within that fruit. We cannot eat that seed that comes out of the fruit that we have now gotten as a result of the harvest. But what we have to do with the new seed that comes up within the fruit that we've just received from the harvest, we've got to then plant that fruit. So in that fourth point, I want you to understand that there's a law of reciprocity working and at work for us in the kingdom. And that is, if we are planting in good ground and we are yielding good fruit, that fruit has a seed, and that seed must be planted again. And then we've got to add those 4 points right back to the seed. And the 4 points are: we must sow with intention. The process of sowing, it will have loss associated with it. Sowing on good ground, we've got to add patience back with it. And guess what? Here comes that law of reciprocity again, because the new seed that we got from the new fruit, we've got to plant it back again. So my friends, I have thoroughly enjoyed Money Made. I thoroughly enjoy being here with you. I pray, it is my sincere prayer, that for whomever may view these sessions, for whomever may view these YouTube videos, I pray that you are receiving some nuggets. I pray that you are receiving prophetic words and prophetic instructions. I pray and I prophetically decree over you this day that you are now kingdom financial farmers, and that you shall sow good seed in the ground that shall produce good fruit. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you again very soon. God bless.
In the book of James, excuse me, there's more seed within that fruit. So we cannot eat that seed. But understand, the process is teaching you how to get to the good ground. The process is teaching you how to effectively get your seed into the good ground. So don't be mad at the loss, and don't be mad at the process.